Hi everybody, my name is Rheda and this is Health Naturally. This is a program for you to learn how to get healthy and stay healthy naturally. Today we're going to talk about how you can be healthy naturally for your emotional self and how to cure yourself naturally of addictions. Anger seems to be one of the most important things that people need to control these days. And there are several different ways to approach the elimination of anger from your emotional self and from your life. You can use these methods for yourself or for your loved ones or friends. Anger sometimes disappears when you take the right minerals that your body needs. If you have heard me before, there is a test called a tissue mineral test or a hair analysis that lets you know what minerals that your body needs. And if people are low in manganese and magnesium and sometimes calcium, they can be irritable and angry. Now sometimes when people find out that they are low in those minerals and they take them, that their anger is still not gone like they would like for it to be. So then they check into what foods do they crave. Many times it can be allergies. It can be an allergy to milk, it could be an allergy to wheat or to corn, or it can be an allergy to sugar. Sometimes people get angry when they have low blood sugar, or what you call hypoglycemia. But what I have noticed more than anything is that once people get their minerals balanced and they still have fits of anger and irritation, they try taking tryptophan. Now you can't really get tryptophan anymore except through a doctor and by prescription, and many doctors do not want to give you tryptophan because they feel like it might be dangerous. Even doctors who know about tryptophan and have worked with it in the past before it was withdrawn from the market due to a bad batch of tryptophan from Japan. So what people are using now is called 5-HTP. You can use that. You can take one, you can take two. You are the judge. You take as much or as little as you think is necessary for you to feel calm and to stop being angry. So many times the 5-HTP will get rid of your anger, as well as the minerals calcium, magnesium, and manganese. Now, I have known people in the past, before we knew about the hair analysis, that the only way they could get rid of their anger was to be hypnotized. So they were hypnotized and then they weren't angry anymore. Just for instance, I'd like to tell you about a story about a young man that came to see me. And he said he got so angry with his family, he felt like killing them. Of course, he was joking, but he said they made him so mad because they just wouldn't get out of his life and leave him alone. And he was in his middle 20s, and he felt like that he was mature and he could make his own decisions. Well, he didn't know what to do. He had tried taking a few minerals. He didn't have the mineral test because we didn't know about it at that time. So he decided to be hypnotized by a hypnotherapist. And when she hypnotized him, she told him that whatever anybody says or does, nothing can make him mad or angry. And she kept going over that and over that. Well, he did not go to sleep, of course. He heard every word she said. And when she was through, he sat up and he said, "I don't think you hypnotized me." And she said, "Oh, yes, I did." The next day he called her and he said, "Do you know, I've tried and tried to get mad and angry, and I can't get mad and angry." Now, many times when people are hypnotized, the hypnosis has to be reinforced. But this particular hypnotherapist tries very hard to accomplish her job the first time so she doesn't have to do it over and over again. And the trick to good hypnotherapy is for the hypnotherapist to relax you and get you completely relaxed and keep you confident that everything is going to be okay before they start giving you the information that they are supposed to give you. And of course, they always go over that information before they hypnotize you. Well, it's been about 1.5 years now, and he still does not get angry and mad like he used to. And of course, that was a wonderful thing to happen for him. Later on, about 1 year later, he took a hair analysis and found out that he was low in magnesium and manganese, and he needed lithium. So he took the lithium, the manganese, and the magnesium, and that has made him even calmer. The others stopped the emotion, but the minerals made him calm. So I thought you would be interested in a case in point about anger. Now, many times people, when they are low in lithium, they have what you call bipolar. They can be really depressed and feel helpless and unable to accomplish what they want to accomplish in life. And then they start getting angry and they get very mad. And then your doctors have to prescribe lithium. But a lot of times you can't take lithium a very long time, because once you have reached a certain level, they have to take you off of it. And then sometimes they have to put you on certain medications to take care of that problem. I have seen lithium help a lot of people. For instance, I know of a lady who found that she was low in lithium, and I told her that she could probably talk to her physician. She said that her physician didn't know anything. He didn't work on the mind or emotions. And I said, well, you belong to an HMO, so get you a psychiatrist and ask them, show them your test and show that you're low in lithium. She did that, and the doctor did not want to give her lithium because he didn't feel like that the test warranted it. So she asked him to give her a blood test to see if she needed lithium. He said that the blood test was to show that what the level of the lithium was if they were giving lithium. But after she explained to him how angry and mad she'd get when somebody pulled in front of her when she would drive, and how she would just make snap judgments with her family and get really upset with them, she wanted to try the lithium since she knew that she was low in it. So sure enough, he did give her a prescription for it. She only took it just a few weeks. She got her level of lithium up, and she's been much better since then. So the hair analysis will show you what your level of lithium is, and that's always nice to know, especially if you have irritability, temper tantrums, and anger and fits of anger. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is tranquility. Many people are not tranquil because they don't have enough manganese or magnesium, and sometimes calcium has something to do with it. And there's several different approaches that you can take to be tranquil. Now, most people don't even think about, well, am I tranquil or not? But believe it or not, many people drink alcohol and take drugs because they feel so uptight and they're trying to be tranquil. So one of the minerals that you take, of course, would be manganese. Manganese is very calming, but I would never suggest that you take manganese, magnesium, or calcium unless you had a hair analysis and knew for sure that that's what you need. Now, sometimes people have tried a herb called Angelica angelica. It's not the Dong Quai angelica. It is the other Angelica angelica, which the Chinese people have used for centuries to calm and to make you feel tranquil. In fact, I have seen people actually cut back on their drinking and actually stop their marijuana smoking just taking the Angelica angelica, because many times people smoke marijuana because it tranquilizes them, and that's the reason why they love it, because they're so uptight. They take the Angelica angelica, and it comes in like a powdered capsule form, and they take as much as they think they should. Recently, I spoke to a medical doctor who likes to give a certain test to let people know what their minerals and their vitamins are. And he was asking me if I knew of anything for addictions that was natural, and I said yes, that the Angelica angelica worked. So he had a customer whose daughter, they were trying to get her off of marijuana. So he got some of the Angelica angelica, and the mother gave it to the daughter, not letting the daughter know that it would get rid of the marijuana addiction. But she told her daughter that it would make her feel very calm and pleasant and tranquil, very similar to marijuana, but you don't have the other adverse symptoms that come with the marijuana. So the girl took it and she liked it, and the doctor said that after a few weeks that she stopped smoking marijuana. And I have seen this many times work. Most people don't know anything about it, most herbalists don't know about it, but it does work. Now, another way to make yourself tranquil, there are what you call oils called essential oils. You can buy them practically in any health food store that has a wide range of products. The essential oil sandalwood is very calming. You can put a little bit of it right here on your nostrils and smell it all the time, and it will make you very calm and tranquil. If you will notice that the people from India burn sandalwood incense in their homes and in their businesses, and they use the sandalwood oil, it makes them very tranquil all the time. In fact, it is so wonderful that you just don't care what happens. You don't care if people are rude or impolite to you. It just makes you feel so happy and pleasant. So remember sandalwood if you have a problem with being as calm and tranquil as you would like to be. Another essential oil is rose. Rose is wonderful for calming you. In fact, rose in the essential oil field is called a balancer. Many times people feel imbalanced. They just don't feel right. You can give them the rose oil. They can put a little bit of it here inside their nose, right here, and they will smell it and they will become so tranquil and feel so wonderful. And in a few minutes, they just feel like a different person. They feel balanced. A very interesting story regarding rose. Rose is a marriage bonder. In other words, it will take marriages that are practically on the brink of divorce and mend them. For instance, I had a young man one time say, I'm going to leave my wife. I just can't stand it any longer. I love her. I don't want to split up my family. But he said, she just drives me crazy. She just complains and moans and groans and worries all the time, and I can't stand it. I said, would you try something just one night and see if it will help? He said, I'll try anything. So he bought a little brass ring and put it on the top of his light bulb in the bedroom. And he filled the little brass ring with rose oil. So when she came in from work, the whole room was filled with this rose odor. And he said, oh, it really did smell good. He said, I loved it. And then he took some ylang-ylang, which is an essential oil that's supposed to be for relationships. And I told him to put 1 drop of the ylang-ylang on her pillowcase. So when she went to bed that night, she was getting full of the rose fragrance, and she was smelling the ylang-ylang. And he said that the next morning when she woke up, she was an entirely different person. She was cheerful, she was happy, and she was loving. And he called me the very next day and said, do you know that you saved my marriage? And I said, no, I didn't save your marriage. The rose and the ylang-ylang saved your marriage. Now there's another story that I would like to tell you about rose. If people feel futile, that nothing is going to help, and they want to kill themselves, rose is wonderful when people want to commit suicide. I knew a young man who was going to massage school, and he told me, he said, I'm going to have to quit massage school because my girlfriend keeps threatening suicide, and I have to stay with her night and day so that she won't commit suicide. And I said, would you purchase a little bottle of rose essential oil and try that? In fact, what you need to do is put a little bit on your finger and just wipe it on her nose without warning her. Just do that so it will be on her nose, because people that try to commit suicide are usually very negative people, and so therefore they're hard to reason with. Well, he did that, and he noticed that her disposition and her temperament changed within minutes. And so every time she would start getting in this negative mood and start feeling futile and wanting to commit suicide, he would put some of it on his finger and wipe it on her nose. And he said after doing that, just 2 or 3 days, that was the end of it, that she no longer wanted to commit suicide. And I said, well, rose is a balancer, and when people want to commit suicide, many times they're imbalanced. They're imbalanced for many reasons. It could be low blood sugar. It could be that their minerals are off. It could be from allergies to the atmosphere or the environment they're in. There are many reasons for it, but rose is a wonderful balancer. And she became the girl that he knew when he first met her. And of course, everything worked out fine. Well, I was mentioning to you that when people want to commit suicide, that a lot of times they are negative. There is an oil, peppermint oil, it's called. You can put a drop of that in a little drinking bottle that you carry around with you during the day and drink that. And it'll keep you up and cheerful and feeling so good all day. It's amazing. As you know, many people nowadays use Altoids as breathalyzers to make their breath nice. But believe it or not, they're really making themselves more cheerful and up by using the Altoids. But the essential oil is even better because it's stronger. I have no idea how much peppermint is in peppermint drops. Now, there's some peppermint drops that are mostly sugar, so I wouldn't suggest that you use those. But I know that when I went to massage therapy school years ago, everybody in the class was just kind of, oh, they wished school was over with, and they just didn't want to come to class, and they just wanted to get it over with and get to work. And they saw how cheerful I was all the time, and I told them, I said, I put peppermint oil, I put a drop or two in my drinking bottle. I'd sit at my desk during classes and I would drink on it during class. And they said, "Is that what we smell?" We kept smelling some. They said, "Yes, it's peppermint oil. And you can sweeten it with a little bit of fructose sugar or a little bit of honey, and then it tastes like a peppermint tea." So everybody brought their bottles the next day, and I brought my oil, and I put a drop or two in each of their bottles, and then I added a little packet of fructose sugar in each one so it would taste good. And then they all went and bought their own peppermint oil and went through school. All of us went through school drinking the peppermint oil. And of course the peppermint makes you not only cheerful and takes the negativity out of you, but it sort of makes you feel energetic and up. Like if you're sluggish and you're tired and you haven't slept very good the night before, it really does kind of wake you up and cheer you up. You know that years ago people used to chew a lot of Wrigley's peppermint gum, and they would claim that it would, you know, give you a lift, and it does. Peppermint is wonderful for that. So peppermint is wonderful for negativity. Another story I could tell you about peppermint is that I have a member of my family, and she's in her early 90s, and she was just grouching about the government, and she would grouch about the family, and she'd just grouch about everything. And I told her, I said, "Do you like peppermint?" She said, "Yes, I love peppermint." So I brought her over a bottle of pure water, put a couple of drops of peppermint in it, put an envelope of fructose sugar in it, shook it up, and gave it to her. And I told her, "This is what you can drink every day." She said, "Oh, that's delicious." Do you know that it stopped her negativity? And it stopped her from being an old grouch and grouching about things. She used to watch a couple of programs on TV and listen to a couple of programs on radio that they were just criticizing the government and complaining about everything, and oh, she just loved those programs. After she had used the peppermint for several weeks, she stopped listening to those programs because she wasn't negative anymore, she was positive. And she still uses it from time to time. Many times the essential oils will get rid of these emotions after you've used them for a few weeks, or sometimes it takes months. It depends on the person. And then you don't have to use it anymore for a very long time. I know that when I first started using the rose because I felt like I was imbalanced, I used it for months. But I never use it anymore. I never think about it anymore. But I do burn sandalwood incense in my apartment several times a week. And when I have company or guests, I always burn the sandalwood oil because it makes everybody congenial and friendly and calm and pleasant, and it makes the party and the get-together very nice for everybody. Now, another emotion that a lot of people have is worry. So many people have worry. I've never been a worrier in my life, and I'll tell you why. My father, who nearly worked himself to death, never worried. He laughed about everything. He laughed off everything. And nobody could understand why he did that. His whole family did that. And I'll tell you why. He grew up on a farm in East Texas where they have pine trees. And pine trees make you jovial and happy and up. So they smell those pine trees every day, and they grew up laughing and cheerful about everything. So you can go get some essential oil, pine essential oil, put some right here on just a little dab of it right here on your nose, and smell it, and watch how cheerful and up and kind you become. It's wonderful for that. But I have noticed that people who worry a lot use a lot of black pepper. And in the essential oil and herb field, herbalists and essential oil therapists know that black pepper will make you worry. I had a member of my family, and every time she ate, she would pour the black pepper on her food. She would just sprinkle it all over the place. And I said, you know, you're a real worrywart, and you know that. And she said, oh, I know it. I worry until I'm miserable. And I said, did you know that the people from India and other countries who use a lot of herbs, do you know that they know that black pepper causes you to worry? And she said, oh, I don't think I can give up pepper. And I said, I really think that you ought to try to give it up, or at least use it very seldom. She did that, and believe it or not, she does not worry like she used to. So if any of you like to eat a lot of black pepper and you worry a lot, maybe this is your solution. At least it would be wonderful if it was your solution. Now, some other things that people have wrong with them is fear. Fear is such a miserable emotion. I know a young lady that had so much fear in her. She said she had it even as a child. And believe it or not, that girl was raised on organic fruits and vegetables. She was raised on organic milk. She just didn't eat anything, except she did tell me that she used to sneak out behind her mother's back and go buy candy at the store. She liked candy. Of course, her mother was just knocking her brains out to feed her right, and then she was out trying to ruin it with her candy bars. But she said she had had fear as a child, and she had fear even as an adult. She's almost 40 years old. And I said, did you know that ginseng is supposed to stop fear? And she said, oh, I'm going to have to go get some of that. And I said, all right, there are 3 different ginsengs. There is a Siberian ginseng, there is a Korean ginseng, and there is an American ginseng. Now, the Siberian ginseng heats you up a whole lot. So Siberian ginseng is something you wouldn't suggest people take during the summer. I know people that take it and it doesn't bother them at all, but many people it makes them heat up a lot. They'll perspire and they'll fan themselves because it heats them up. The people from China use ginseng in the winter quite a bit because it does heat you up. Cardamom, an herb that they use also in India and China, also heats you up. And believe it or not, basil will heat you up. So many times people will eat Italian food that'll have a lot of basil in it, and they'll find that they get real heated up and hot. I'm talking about temperature. You feel hot. You will perspire, you'll sweat because it will heat you up. So cardamom, basil, and ginseng are very heating. But American ginseng is very cooling. For instance, last summer I knew a woman and she said, I've tried everything to cool down. And she was in the age of going through the change, and she would get not hot flashes, but she'd just perspire and just feel so hot all the time. I said, why don't you try American ginseng? She tried the American ginseng. That cooled her off. And then she took some asparagus, which is an herb. It's a Chinese herb called asparagus, not the kind that you eat in a can or in the grocery store, but it's asparagus root. And she took the asparagus root, and that cooled her down also. But back to the ginseng for fear. The girl took the ginseng, and she took the Korean ginseng because it doesn't heat you up as bad as the Siberian ginseng. And it really did help her. Stop, Greg. While we're talking about ginseng, The ginseng also is for stress. Stress is a problem that many people have. They have jobs where they maybe have people that they work with or people that they work for that just overwork them or stress them out. And I recently know of a girl who took the hair analysis, and sure enough, she was low in magnesium, she was low in calcium, she was low in chromium, which of course has to do with the blood sugar. And she took all her minerals, but she said, you know, I still feel stressed out. So I told her, why don't you get some Korean ginseng? Because the Korean ginseng is wonderful for stress. So she got some ginseng. She said, what do you suggest I take? And I said, well, why don't you take like a couple every morning and see what that does? And if you feel like you're stressed out in the afternoon, take some more. So she did that, and after she had been on it about a month, she called me and she said, you know, that ginseng is really working. I just don't get stressed out like I used to. And I said, well, you know, the people in China live off of ginseng. They just think ginseng is the cure-all for everything. So when you think about ginseng, think about the American ginseng that is cooling, the Korean ginseng, which is not as hot as the Siberian ginseng, and that it's good for stress, and that it's also good to heat you up in the wintertime. It might make you too hot in the summertime, so you'll just have to learn how to work with it. And it's wonderful for fear. I've seen it really help people with their fears. In fact, this girl never has fears anymore. Now, she is insecure, and we haven't found the remedy for insecurity because she won't take psychotherapy to have people build up her self-esteem because she has people in her family that are putting her down all the time. So it's pretty hard to have a negative environment and not have bad self-esteem. Now, another one of the emotions that we have is nervousness. Like some people are almost shake and they're fidgety and they're real nervous around people. Usually if you're nervous, that's usually because you need calcium. And I don't see a whole lot of people that are nervous. I see more people really anxiety and angry than I do see people that have nervous problems. So once you get your hair analysis and see what your calcium is, you'll find that you aren't as nervous as you used to be once you take the minerals that you need. Now, many times this really isn't an emotional problem, but many times people complain about their memory, how they forget things, and they have short-term memory. I don't know if you realize it, but nowadays it seems like that when you talk to people, you have to repeat and repeat and repeat. I mean, as soon as you say it, you have to repeat it to them. It's not that they don't hear it, it's that they just don't get it. So a lot of times, the reason why people forget or have short-term memories is because they're low in iron. I've had a lot of people tell me after they've had a hair analysis and saw that they needed iron, after they took their iron, they said, you know, I'm a lot smarter, and I don't forget like I used to. And I said, well, forgetfulness also has to do with zinc, and you realize that your zinc was low also. So when people take their zinc and their iron, if their test shows that they need it, then they're not forgetful, and they also comprehend things a lot quicker. And believe it or not, you feel like your IQ has climbed a mountain. It is amazing how wonderful it is when you have adequate zinc and iron. So that's something that I thought you would be interested in also. Now, a lot of people are indecisive. They don't know what to do. There are some remedies called Bach flower remedies. And I think it would do well for you all to go to a health food store that has these Bach remedies and look at all the different remedies. And they have things for indecisiveness, unsure of yourself. And if you will take those flower remedies, you will be shocked how well they will help you. And of course, any of these problems that you have that are emotional or you feel like they're mental problems, many times hypnosis will help these problems also. I really believe in hypnosis because I've seen hypnosis do miracles. In fact, I have seen people that were dying of cancer and in so much pain, and their pain pills did not work. And once they used hypnosis, they were completely free of pain. So that's very important for people to know that. Now, we haven't discussed paranoia or depression. Lots and lots of people are suffering from depression. I found something just this past year that nobody has ever advertised it for depression. But there is a product called Crystal Sulf, which is MSM. It's methyl sulfonyl methane. It is a natural sulfur. It's not a sulfa, because many people are poisoned and get sick off of sulfur. This is a natural sulfur, like the sulfur you get in red meats and in cabbage and in chard and different sulfur foods. Well, people would buy this and take it for their swollen joints and for sulfur is it's a beauty mineral. Sulfur is very good for tightening the collagen in the skin. If your hair falls out, it's very good for falling out hair. I knew a girl who used it because her eyelashes wouldn't grow. She went to the doctor. She had a thyroid test to see if her thyroid was low. It was not low. It was okay. So they didn't know what to do. She found this product and started taking it, and she started having the longest, prettiest eyelashes you've ever seen, and her skin became so firm. You know how young people, they will be very thin, they starve themselves, and they get out and run, and the skin on their thighs and on their arms just shake. And they're young people, they're in their teens and in their 20s, and their skin is just vibrating and shaking. It's because they don't have enough sulfur. And if they took a product like this that has natural sulfur, they would not have that because it firms up the skin and the skin stops shaking. Many people don't know about this and the wonders of sulfur. But she took the sulfur and she's, for different beauty reasons, and she also heard that it was wonderful for allergies. So she said, it's funny, but I don't have depression anymore. And I said, well, you're not the only person that's told me that. Many people who take sulfur for allergies and for their skin and so that their hair will grow thick and be real shiny and nice, I said, they've all told me that they don't have depression anymore. Well, after talking to the company that produces this product, they said, well, they couldn't understand it. They never heard of their product helping depression. And they said, sulfur destroys bacteria, it destroys fungus, mold, viruses, and parasites. So maybe they have a bacterial or a viral infection that's dragging them down and making them feel poorly, and maybe this is getting rid of the problem and they feel more up and have more energy and they're not depressed anymore. And I said, that's exactly what they tell me. I've had people call me the next day after they start using MSM and say, what is this? I feel like I'm 16 years old. So apparently that is what's causing it. We don't know for sure, but it kills off so many pathogens in the body that maybe it ups your body. Your body doesn't have to fight off all these pathogens. When I say pathogens, I mean bacteria, viruses, mold, fungus, candida, and just anything, you know, that's in your body that's pulling your body down and your body's having to fight it off. So I have seen that really do a wonderful job on depression. And you will also find that depression will disappear many times if you have too much calcium. You get your calcium down and you stop feeling depressed. Sometimes people feel depressed also when they have too little copper. Copper is what you need to fight off bacteria. So a lot of times, if people don't have enough copper, they don't eat a lot of copper-rich foods, then they don't have enough copper, and then they'll feel depressed. So that's something that you can check on your test to see what your calcium is and what your copper is, and then you will know whether that is the root of your problem. But many times people use the essential oils for depression. Remember, I was talking to you about rose, how rose is a balancer. I had a girl that spoke to me one time, and she said, you know, she said, I can't take Prozac, I can't take this, I can't take that because I have bad effects with it. And I said, oh my goodness, that must be awful. And I said, have you tried rose essential oil? And she said, I don't even know about rose essential oil. Well, she got some and she tried it, and she said it made her feel so balanced and made her feel so good. And then I told her about the sandalwood, which is very calming, and she used the sandalwood. And then I told her about lavender. Now, lavender is really good when you're stressed out. I don't mean stressed out from emotional problems. I mean stressed out physically, like you've worked all day long and you're just exhausted and you run in and you're hungry and you're tired. You can take a little of the lavender essential oil and put it here on your nose, or just smell it out of the bottle, and it just lifts you. I mean, it's like, you know, the way you felt before you went to work. You had energy and vitality. It's almost like a miracle the way it works. The 3 essential oils that you think of when you're stressed out is rose, sandalwood, and lavender. And if one doesn't work, the other one will work. Now, I'll tell you something else that one of the girls that was talking to me told me. She said that she felt like she needed lavender. So she went to the store and got some lavender, and she says, oh, I couldn't stand it. It just made me sick. I couldn't stand it. I said, what you need to do is get some rose essential oil, and it will balance you, and then you'll be able to use the lavender. So she went back and got some rose essential oil. After she smelled it for a while, she tried the lavender, and sure enough, it works. Remember, rose is a balancer, and that's the reason why it's so marvelous for so many things. Many people will put just a dot of it on their pillowcase so they can smell it all night long because it de-stresses you. So those are some things that you might want to remember. Now, as far as schizophrenia, many times, I don't know that there's a cure for it, but I have had different people tell me that were on schizophrenia that the rose and the lavender helped them. In other words, they didn't seem to have mood swings like they used to. And it's not that it cured them, it's that they had to use it all the time, and every time they would have a spell, they would try it, and it would help them. It didn't cure them, but it did alleviate some of the symptoms and some of the problems. So let me look here at my list now, because I know that there's some things that I've forgotten. And, one of the things I'd like to tell you is that Many people want to be left brain or right brain. And since we're talking about emotions, of course, we're talking about the mind also. But one of the things that will make you more intelligent, which I've already mentioned, is iron. And it will also make you left brain. For instance, say you love to sing, you love to dance, you love to draw, you love to do all right brain things. You're very sociable, you love people. But you feel like you need to have your feet more on the ground and you need to be more intellectual. Iron will do it, because iron will make you more left brain. But of course, I don't suggest that you take iron unless you've had a test to show that you need it. All right, there is an emotion called melancholy and sad. Many people have melancholy all the time and they don't understand why. On your tissue and mineral test, it will show you what your vanadium is. We mostly get vanadium from fish. People who eat a lot of fish always have enough vanadium. But if you're low in vanadium, you can be very sad and melancholy all the time. And you will notice that when you take the vanadium or start eating more fish to get your vanadium up, that the melancholy and the sadness will go away. Now, people who have had a death in their family will mourn. And rose essential oil is wonderful for mourning. In other words, it will just take away the emotion of mourning, which is wonderful for people when they have death in their family or in their friends. So remember about the rose, because you know rose is a balancer. So the reason why it helps mourning is because mourning is not an emotion that we have most of the time, and we become imbalanced when we have shock and we mourn over someone's passing over. Now let's see what else we have here. Paranoia. Many people have paranoia because they are low in phosphorus. Now phosphorus is high in red meat and in milk. And sometimes people get too much phosphorus, which isn't very good, because phosphorus can sometimes cause not kidney stone, but sort of little flakes in the kidneys and can cause maybe pain in the kidneys. So you never want your phosphorus to be too much. Another thing that has a lot of phosphorus in it is soda pop. Many people drink a lot of soda pop and then they'll get a hair analysis and their phosphorus is sky high. And that's not good at all. Now, phosphorus is necessary in the diet because phosphorus is one of the things that builds healthy bones. So that's something that you want to do, is make sure that you have enough phosphorus. But you don't want to overdo it. And remember, if you crave milk, it's not because you need phosphorus, it's probably because you need tryptophan, which you can buy in the form of 5-HTP. And if you crave soda pop, it's probably the sugar. You probably need energy. And once you get your zinc, your iron, and your minerals up, you'll find that you'll even stop craving soda pop for the sugar. So there's many reasons for what is causing your problem. Now, if you have reduced cognitive function, that means when you study, you can't retain the information. Your cognitive function is low. Then when you have low cognitive function, many times iron is good for that too. But remember, don't take anything unless you absolutely need it. Let's see what else here. Calming is for, you need manganese for calming. We've talked about that before. If you have nervous tension, many times you need silicone. And if you're hyperactive, you're usually low in iron and you're usually high in manganese. And if you'll remember, we have spoken before about manganese, that a lot of times when people drink hard liquor, and alcohol in large amounts, not beer particularly, but alcoholic beverages that have a lot of alcohol in them, that it will make their manganese very high, and that will cause you to be hyperactive. In fact, people, I don't know if you've ever known anybody that they just giggle and laugh and act silly all the time. They're just acting like idiots. They usually have too much manganese, and you will notice that a lot of alcoholics, people who truly drink a lot, will go around giggling and laughing about everything. In fact, I know of a young man who had real high iron because he drank too much, and his lithium, too much lithium will also make you giggly and silly and just act like an idiot. So I have seen that before. Well, I've covered practically everything I can think of. I'm sure I have missed some things that I should have talked about. But these are the different things that I have here on my card to remind me. And let's see here. Oh, I know something I wanted to tell you about was cigarettes. A lot of times people smoke cigarettes because it's very calming to them, and I want to tell you why. There is an essential oil called bergamot, and bergamot is very calming. It's a type of citrus, and the cigarette industry knows that it's calming, and they put it in the cigarettes, and that's the reason, one of the reasons why people crave cigarettes. It's not just the nicotine. Of course, the nicotine raises your blood sugar, and that's another reason why you crave cigarettes. But I'm going to tell you a way that some people have gotten rid of cigarettes. What they've done is they've bought an herb and made a drink out of it. It's called lobelia. And they will take like a teaspoon of the herb, put it in 2 cups of boiling water, and make it into a tea, cool it off, strain it, and mix a little bit of fructose sugar with it, and they sip on it. Every time they want a cigarette, they take a sip of the lobelia tea, and then they'll get in the habit of doing that instead of smoking the cigarette. And then they will get the bergamot oil, and they will put a touch of it on their tongue, and they will put some on their nose and smell it, and it calms them, and they eventually, by doing those 2 things, they eventually succeed in quitting cigarettes in a very calming way. Well, it's been wonderful talking to you, and I've enjoyed sharing all these things with you, and I hope that I've helped you in some way, and it's been wonderful to share all this information with you, because it's information that I've taken years to find, and I'm really very happy to share it with you. Bye.